Part two, after we left the main service room, whoever the electrical contractors were, they had to dig up the slab, come out of that main electrical room, which is over there. You might remember part one. So they came under the slab, and we've got some underground feeders coming through the slab or the floor and then feeding these two panels. LPH, if we look, this is a 277 volt panel, 480 volt. I can tell just by looking at the style of the circuit breakers. There's a space between the dead front, which tells me that these are bolt-on circuit breakers. If I come up here, I can see it's 480, 277 volt, three-phase, four-wire. It's a 250 amp max panel. This is all for lighting. We're only using this stuff typically for lighting, and you can notice most of this isn't even used. We've only got a few breakers that are in the on position. The rest of these are off. So you've got a lot of stuff that's available if you need a 277 volts. Article 408 talks about having a legible panel board, panel schedule directory. So this is done exactly how it would be probably done in the field. You got it printed out. If we look out of the top of this panel, we got, it looks like 3 2.5 inch conduits that come out of the top, and they nippled it into the trough. Same thing over here. So you've got a fairly typical setup of how we would do things. We'd come out of the tops of the panels into a distribution trough. Article 376 in the code talks about wireways. That's what that is. That's a wireway. We come out of the top of that wireway now with a bunch of different conduits, and all of these conduits that leave are going into different areas into Porter and Chester to feed different things like lighting circuits and plug circuits. This panel here, labeled LPA, is all 120 volt stuff. And if we look over here, we can see that this panel feeds a bunch of receptacles and other things of that nature. So 2 different panels for 2 different things. It's also a 250 amp max panel. If you remember, we have 208/120 three-phase 4-wire. So we've got a lot of 120 volt circuits and 3-phase 208 if we needed it. Got a time clock for probably outside lighting. If I was to do anything differently with this setup, if I was installing this, I'd either have the bottoms of the panels at the same height or the tops of the panels at the same height. Probably the tops, because I'd like all these nipples to be the same length. But that's just one of those things that, you know, some people don't think about laying things out perfectly. And, you know, but all in all, it's not a bad installation. And you can see some conduit bends up in there. So that's this little piece of distribution. We'll get to another one in part 3.